It's 4 o'clock on a Thursday, and you know what that means, don't you? It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi's Quarantini Happy Hour. Woohoo! Please, dear God, tell me this stuff is working. Yeah, baby. And thank you, fake audience. Thank you, fake band. Let's see what's going on in that chat room. Somebody tell me you're seeing me or hearing me or something. Hello. All right, I'm getting a woo-hoo. That's some sort of sign, I guess. Hello, everybody. Great. Do you hear me as well, Bob? All right, all good. Yay. Thank goodness somebody answered. Okay. So I'm going to say my hellos, but you know, I actually had somebody complain in the comments under one of the recent shows saying that it's basically a pain. I think it was a lady, a pain in her butt that I do the hellos to everybody at the beginning of the show on the live thing. She just wants to get right to it. So I'm still going to do it. Hello, Spiritual. Hello, Ian Shortle, Dean Turner, Dan Weber, Bob Gunnerfelt, Martin Gravel, Rick Cabot Podmore, Greg Carosa. I don't know who else is in there. Let's scroll up and see. Dan Weber, Jesse J. Peck, Darren Moss, Martin Gravel. I think I might have done Martin Gravel already. Ron Schultz. Hello, everybody. Paul House. Hello, Paul. Sorry I didn't get to that last email. Emails were flying fast and furious yesterday, as you might imagine, when the show wasn't working, and I'll address that in a moment. Hello, Andre. Hello, JP. How are you? Thanks. It's good to be back. And note that I'm wearing my Criteria shirt today. That's always an indication of something fun is going to happen, and it's probably going to have to be something audio-wise or studio-wise. Yeah, the flowers are cool. Thank you. Yeah, they were like the nicest grocery store flowers ever. Hello, Edmund Red, Alex Dillon, Glenn Letts, Michael McGraw. Anyway, Chris Jones. The Roadcaster, so far, so good. Today's going to be a bit of a road test. Hello, Cass. Lucian Lewis, Songs from a Headband. Yes, as I was just telling everybody before you latecomers, including Pierre, got here, somebody, and Jan, hello, somebody was complaining, mild complaint, not obnoxious, just saying, is it only her, or do other people think it's kind of a pain in the butt that I do all the hellos at the beginning of the show and the live show? Because if it were, you know, she was watching the archive, she'd just skip it, you know, and try and figure out where the actual meat of the show starts. But anyway, I feel like on the hello, Ann House, I feel like on the Quarantinis that it's more of a hangout and we're family, and I want to say hello to everybody. I probably shouldn't do it during the road rally stuff, and maybe I won't do it on the regular taxi TVs. I feel bad for people who aren't part of our regular Quarantini gang that they don't really necessarily know what the vibe is here, but it's loose. It is all about bonding, and bonding we have done. So that's that. Let's see, I have other notes. Oh, yesterday's show. So what happened was it wasn't the Roadcaster. I had that all worked out yesterday. What it was our good friends at YouTube changed the interface. They did a beta version of the YouTube Creator Studio, which we use to broadcast this to you. And it was missing some stuff. It was really beta. And one of the things that it was missing was the place to open the chat room. It had a chat room, but it didn't connect. So we had to put in some sort of code. I forget what it's called. Anyway, we couldn't find out where. There was no field to insert, the connection, the code that connects the broadcasting stuff to the chat room. So we did a workaround. Actually, I think it was Ariana stopped by the office yesterday, and then she actually came out to the house to say a final goodbye to Deb and I, which was bittersweet to say the least. She's on the road right now as we speak, heading for Arizona. And then tomorrow she'll be heading to New Mexico. Anyway, so yeah, we got that figured out. We were able to go back to the old creator studio and use that for the time being. So we'll probably have another one of those days when they pull another surprise on us and things get weird. Anyway, very sorry about that. Yes, New Mexico. I just finished writing up an email that will go out to all members tomorrow, I believe, talking about the road rally. I mean, you guys pretty much know everything because I like you and I tell you guys all the inside stuff, but all the other members who aren't part of the Quarantini gang don't know. So making the official announcement tomorrow and giving everybody a brief overview as to 3 full days of live sessions and the prequel and Stephen Pressfield, so that's all good. Let's see, I already talked about the hellos. Yeah, you know what? Let's take a vote with some plus ones or minus ones. Plus one if you think that I should continue saying hello to everybody in the chat room for the Quarantinis, or do you guys find it to be a pain in the butt and you just want to get to the meat of the show? And minus one if you think I should not do that. Well, looks unanimous. Well, while we're at it, we could vote for president. This is such an efficient system we've got going on. All right, well, I haven't seen a single minus one yet. Hello, Rick White. Yeah, Ron Schultz says, makes me feel part of the group. That's why I do it. It's, we're all like a little family here. And Michael for president of what? I couldn't pass for president of like a Boy Scout troop. Will I be sending Rockstar? I was actually thinking about calling our contact at Rockstar, who is actually a former taxi member that we all adored, and asking them to just send a few flats of Rockstar to my house, assuming, who knows, that we may be doing the road rally from the house. I just can't. I mean, we've got probably 15 flats of Rockstar, cases of Rockstar sitting in our garage right now. But they're flavors I don't like, so we're going to donate them to the local firehouse. That seems kind of mean, doesn't it? It's like, we've got a bunch of flavors that we didn't like. They were too sweet or too tart or too something, so we're going to give them all to the firefighters. Why is Ariana going to New Mexico? Because she has a family health crisis, and she's got to be a primary caregiver. So she's doing a very grown-up thing, and I mean, we're all just, she's very much loved by the whole staff, and we're all really sad to lose her, but she's got to do this, and hopefully someday in the not-too-distant future, she'll be part of Taxi again, because like I said, we all loved her and really, really enjoyed having her on the staff. And I got to say that Bria and Ariana and I, the three of us, work so well together. I mean, we're thrilled that Bria's back. And as upset as I was when Bria left, it was a little less upsetting because she was leaving for a good thing, to go get married and start her adult life. And we had, like, I don't know, 9 months or a year to kind of ramp up emotionally for that. And lo and behold, she's back again in full force, working full-time from Kentucky right now. So anyway, hello, El Raso. Anyway, we wish Ariana's family member well, and just hope that someday she's able to come back to us, because she was a much beloved member of the staff, very productive, she brought something to the party, and we've got the best staff I think we've ever had in the company's history right now. So always painful to lose somebody. Yep, Bria is working remotely from Kentucky. We have 2 tin cans with a really long string stretch because they don't have Wi-Fi or 4G in Kentucky yet. I'm kidding. For those of you watching in Kentucky, I'm only kidding. It's a beautiful state. I've been there twice. Let's see. Remember, bring back the cane. Anyway. Okay. So I've got a special treat today, which will probably get this show blocked. Best case, they'll demonetize it, which I don't care about because we don't make any significant money doing these anyway. That was clearly not the point when we started doing them. But I'm going to play you a song, and let me give you some background. The reason I'm wearing the Criteria shirt today is that I've told you guys I worked on an album that started out as Stills Young, Long May You Run. I think it was late 75, maybe, actually I think it was like mid 76, 1976. And so I was, at that time, 21, 22 years old, I think 21. And I got asked to be on a record with Stephen Stills and Neil Young, and I was actually at the time the second engineer. A good friend of mine named Steve Hart was already working on the record, doing setup and stuff. The band hadn't arrived or anything yet, and they realized very quickly that they were going to need 2 assistant engineers on that record, so I got invited to join him. And then at some point, very early on, once we got started, Steve Hart got put on another record. So it was just myself working with Don Gaiman, who's a pretty famous engineer-producer, went on to work with REM and Hootie and the Blowfish, and who did Little Pink Houses? John Mellencamp. So he's got a bunch of huge platinum records under his belt, one of the sweetest, nicest men you'll ever meet. And I was already pretty good friends with Don at the time, but I was felt very privileged to work on that record. Number one, because I was learning a lot from him. I was also, working with Crosby, Stills. Now, it started out as Stills and Young, and then very early in the game, like 2 days into it, Don turned to me when I walked back in the control room and said, "Just got word that Graham and David are showing up today. They're joining the record." So it was a Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young reunion. And when David and Graham walked in the door, there were lots of hugs, a few tears. There'd been some bad blood, I think, prior to that, and they were all just glad to be back together. They were things felt a little like tenuous, like, is this going to work or is it not going to work? And how we had the room set up, we did it in Studio B at Criteria, where Layla was done, and just like a bunch of the big Criteria hits were done in Studio B. And it was an odd room in that the console faced the monitors, but the control room window was off to your right. So you had to turn your head. Excuse me. Got a loogie down there. Anyway, you had to turn your head to look out in the room. And we set the room up. The guys really preferred to work as a live band, and there were times they had a lot of band members in the room. And that was actually where I developed the knowledge and the skill set that I later used on that Melanie Ballroom Streets record, which was done live in the studio, except I did Ballroom Streets with an audience in the room, and we did the same record over and over and over every night for 10 nights. Excuse me. Today's flavor is pear. I'm liking that pear. Anyway, so we set the room up with, imagine this, shut your eyes and imagine a room that was probably about 25 feet wide and maybe 35 or 40 feet deep. The drums were all the way in the back of the room, and they had gobos around them. There was a big percussion set up in the room that was also near the rear of the room. Off to the right, as you walked out into the studio, against the right-hand wall, were all of Neil's amps, and he had an array of like 4 or 5 amps all stacked up on each other and pedals and stuff. And so he, and then I want to say that STILLS had an electric setup that was on the left side of the room, about halfway down the wall. Towards the front of the room, not that far out from the glass, which we had to turn and look at, out at the room, we set up a tree of microphones. They were all 87s, Neumann 87s, and we had 4 of them set up to mic their acoustic guitars and 4 vocal mics. Here comes the rock star burp. I'm so classy. So there were times where, the guys really didn't have a plan. There was no pre-production. And basically how it worked was one of them, we worked pretty much 24 hours a day for 37 days straight. A lot of times it would be Stephen and Neil would come in. Other times it'd be Graham and David would come in. Sometimes it'd be the full band would come in. With bass player and I'm trying to remember the drummer Joe Vitale, who's also done a lot of work with Joe Walsh, I believe. I think he's from Cleveland, I want to say. The microphone, no, I'm not running the microphone through the Rode today. I am running other stuff through the Rodecaster today, like and when I'm funny, you guys don't even have to laugh. And then that's when I'm not funny. And then I believe this one, I haven't marked my little keys yet. Okay, stop. Then when I've got a mystery music supervisor on, and this one I don't remember. Oh yeah, the glissando. Anyway, and then there's music. Yeah. I could do a late night radio show. Anyway, so there you go. I can also, I've got my phone wired into it. I could Bluetooth the phone into it, but I trust wires. Funny thing is, when I was doing the setup today, I was plugging in these earbuds, and I was getting no signals. Like, oh, crap, not again. And I realized what it was. I think I threw it away. I had ordered a headphone extension, a mini-to-mini headphone extension for these guys, because I can't get too far away from the laptop. And I also ordered one for Steve Barden and had it sent to his house because he had the same problem when we were doing one of our taxi TVs. So today was the first time I tried to use mine. I plugged it in. I was getting no signal. So then I did what all engineers do, which is eliminate the possibilities or eliminate, what could be bad. And I unplugged the extension and plugged directly into the laptop with these bad boys, and sure enough, it works. So I spent $7 on an extension cable that doesn't work, and I bought it so long ago, I can't return it. So I think I'm going to soak it in gasoline, stick it down the gopher hole, and light it and see what happens. Anyway, if I run the earpiece behind my shoulder, I'd look more legit. Yeah, but I don't know that I've got enough. Let's see. Now, I don't have enough extension to do that. It's literally like, if I move 6 inches, I'm screwed. Suggestion: why don't you run a competition for Taxi members? Write a new theme song for Taxi TV. You can play it from the Roadcaster. I've thought about it. As you know, I had who did I get? Oh, Keith LeBrant. Had him do the theme for the Road Rally. So let's just get the Road Rally done. Anyway, getting back to Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young at Criteria. So we had the room set up so that the band could just kind of wander around and do their thing. You never knew what somebody was going to play, where they'd be in the room. And so we had to have all these mics set up, and room mics and vocal mics. But to me, the most important thing in the room was that tree with 4 guitar mics and 4 vocal mics. And oftentimes they would start out with all 4 guys on all 4 of those, and then during the middle of a song, somebody like Stills would get up and walk over to his Gibson Firebird, pick it up, and ad-lib a lead in the middle. So we had to be ready to go on anything. So as the story goes, one night, very late at night, all the guys were there. Imagine this scenario. The lights are down very, very low out in the studio. We had a couple of like red or blue or gold lights kind of bathing the room a little bit. If I remember correctly, they weren't doing anything. They were just kind of noodling. And I think that Graham and David were auditioning a song called Taken at All and playing it for Stephen and Neil kind of like midway down the room. They were just kind of like standing there with one foot up on a chair and an acoustic guitar and playing this song. Ooh, Midnight on the Bay. I love that song. Anyway, at some point, the song started really taking form. And Don Gaiman, the engineer, got up from the console. He had to duck out and take a phone call. I asked him about this when I saw him last late October, early November, right before the Road Rally, when I was at that Criteria reunion in Miami, and he remembered the night. He had to get up. Either he was having digestive issues or he had to go take a phone call from his wife. And basically it was, okay, I'm ducking out. You've got the con. And I remember sitting in the chair. It's the only time in my entire career in the studio where I sat down in the chair and my left hand was shaking as I moved it to put it up on the faders. And I brought up the room mic to listen and listen more carefully to that song, Taken It All. And at some point I hit the talkback button, which at a 21-year-old assistant engineer I probably shouldn't have done. But at that point, I knew all the guys fairly well, and I said, guys, this song is amazing. I mean, to me, it sounded like the first Crosby, Stills, and Nash record. Maybe Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young, Deja Vu era, but it was like early CSN or CSNY. And the hair on my arm was just standing up. And I remember I took my right hand and pinched my thigh and said, to myself in the control room all alone, I said, do you realize where you are, what you're doing? And I hit the talkback button and I said, guys, this song is so good. I just want to get it down, so can you come over to the tree and just sit down and do it? And 3 or 4 of them all kind of looked at me through the glass like, whoa, dude, when did you become the producer? But they came over, they sat down. Actually, 3 of them came over. It was David on the left, Graham in the middle, and Stephen on the right as I looked out the window. And Neil was still kind of like 15 feet away, kind of near the back of the room, messing around with something. And he seemed a little less interested maybe than the other guys. Anyway, so they came over and they sat down, and we always had a 2-track rolling. If they were in the building, we had to have at minimum a 2-track rolling. Actually, we had 2 tracks rolling. We had one going at 7.5 IPS and another one going at 15 IPS, and we had room mics that were always open and feeding those machines just in case they did something brilliant, because lots of times they would say, 2 weeks later, hey, remember that night when? And we would have to go back. One of my jobs is the second engineer in that session, was keeping copious notes on legal pads. Stephen played XYZ song for the other guys. Just little notes like that. So if they said, hey, remember that night when, we could flip through the pages, legal pad, and go, okay, that's reel 113 at 4 minutes and 30 seconds in, and pull up the tape and play it for them. And so we had the 1/4-inch machines rolling, and I got them in the chairs and didn't even do a level check. I just brought all the faders up. Gaiman had already, gotten the EQ on everything and gotten the compressor set, so I didn't do any of that, but I did ride the levels. And I am now going to play you one of my favorite all-time csn&y songs called Taking It All, which ended up in the movie Up in the Air with George Clooney, which was a great movie. But at the end of this album, one day, all of a sudden, I got a call. I was at the studio, crashed out on the couch in the lobby after, 37 days of not sleeping. And I remember it was a black leather couch, and I was just like dripping in sweat because I was sleeping on leather and just exhaustion. And Margaret, the receptionist, when she came to work that morning, woke me up. She shook my shoulder a little bit and said, "Wake up, honey, I've got Don on the phone for you," meaning Don Gaiman. And Gaiman said to me, "David and Graham are off the record." And I went, "What? Say that again." He said, "Graham and David are off the record. They've flown back to San Fran." And went, "Wow." And I was instructed to erase all the parts that they had done. So if there were any Stills Young songs that the other guys had sung or played on, we had to wipe out all those parts. So as far as I could remember all these years, there was not a copy of that song anywhere. I didn't think it existed on multitrack. I do remember that Graham and David, when they went back to San Fran, immediately started a record with just the two of them called Crosby and Nash Whistling Down the Wire. And the song I'm about to play you, in a little bit more of an electric form, ended up on that record. But it was disappointing to me. It just didn't capture the magic of what I heard in the control room that night. So some months ago, it might have been 9 months ago, a year ago, I don't remember. At some point, somehow, either somebody sent me an email or I stumbled upon it on YouTube, and I see a picture of all four of the guys standing around the studio, and it's an old black and white shot. And I went, "Oh, no, that probably wasn't the version that I got to record at Criteria, because that's not Criteria." So it's a picture of them in another session, in another room at another time. But when I hit play on the song, immediately the hair on my arm stood up. I was sitting in my office chair late one night at Taxi, and I listened to that, and I went, "Wow, this sounds like the one I recorded." And then something happens in the song that I went, "Oh my God, this is it." And what happened was Stills was keeping time. And yeah, I was the only one in the room. And Stills was keeping time, and on his acoustic guitar, for like an accent, he hit the guitar like as a stop to keep a beat, but he hit it too hard. And I'll never forget that moment. He like raised his head and looked up at me like, did I just blow? Because all of them felt the magic in the take. And Stills thought he blew the take by hitting the acoustic guitar, but it was appropriate. It worked. So really, all I did on this was hit play and record and ride the levels. And you'll notice that the vocals are pretty loud. Hopefully, the levels coming through to you are good. Let me know if they're not, and I'll adjust them. But the vocals on the backgrounds in particular get a little bit loud, but that's what I was listening to in the control room. What you hear, I believe, is the mix that my monitor mix going to the 2 tracks that night. And because I had one of the room mics, or two of the room mics, I believe, still open because I didn't think I was like recording a take for posterity. I thought I was just getting it down so that they could go back to it at some point and finish it off. I think it's the second chorus somewhere in there, because Neil really kind of drifted in and out of the tree setup in the song. But if you listen really carefully, you can hear Neil like 20 feet away trying to find a high harmony note. Now, the only thing that makes me think that this might have come from the multi-track, which maybe we didn't erase, is that it almost sounds like there's a second layer of vocals on it. But I listened to it about 5 times this afternoon before I started the show, and I'm going, you know what? I don't think so. If you listen really carefully, especially with headphones on, you can hear like Graham in the middle, Crosby, at like 9 o'clock on your left, and you can definitely tell that it's Stills singing and playing the acoustic guitar with these cool little fills on the right. And you can hear Crosby doing some noodles on the left. And the funny thing was, it was a csn&y like YouTube fan club or somebody that put this up, and the guy said this was recorded at Criteria Studios in 1976 with Ron and Howard Albert, who were also friends of mine. Ronnie Albert was the guy I kissed on the lips. And if you're new to Taxi TV, that's a whole other story. So Ron and Howie did work with CNN without Y. About a year and a half later, the album with the three of them on the deck of a sailboat. But they didn't work with them in 1976, and to the best of my knowledge, this song was never recorded with them. So I'm 95 to 99% sure, more like 99 to 100% sure, this is the version that I got to record that night. And it's just such a beautiful song and just classic csn&y. So let me find it. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear it okay. Let me know if the levels are too high or too low. Here we go. If you could let me know in the chat that you've got it. Well, that's frustrating. Okay, let me try a different approach. It's weird. No, when it comes off my laptop, I don't need to bring up a fader. So I've got another way to accomplish this. And this will work. Okay, let me know if you're hearing this, and then I'll adjust the levels and take it back to the top.
This is me. Can you take another look?
Okay.
Did I see you looking blindly at your book? Is it all that you thought it took? Can it be taken at all? Were you looking for signs along the way? Did you see by your lonely light of day this road really the only way? Can this road be taken it all? Lost it on the highway, down the dotted line. You were going your way, I was going.
All right, I'm going to take it back to the top now that I've got that worked out.
This is me. Can you take another look? Did I see you looking blindly at your book? Is it all that you thought it took? Can it be taken at all? Were you looking for signs along the way? Did you see by your lonely light of day? Is this road really the only way? Can this road be taken at all? Lost it on the highway, down the dotted line. You were going your way, I was going mine.
Somewhere in there you hear Neil.
We lost it on the highway, things were out of sight. You were going your way, trying to make a light along the way. Can you see by your lonely light of day? Is this road really the only way? Can this road be taken at all? Can this road be taken at all?
So there you have it. Maybe I'll play it again in a minute. We can chat about it a little bit. But wow, huh? Yeah. You know, one of the greatest moments I ever had in the studio. Thanks, JP. Thanks, guys. Yeah, like I said, Don Gaiman, EQ'd it, set the compressors and stuff. All I did was ride the levels. I don't believe that was ever released. Maybe it's out on a retrospective or something. It was... for my money, maybe one of the top 3 or 4 best csn&y songs of all time. And the vocals. I mean, yeah, that was one pass live with, no auto-tune. and you know what? Let's listen again. I want you to tell me, I mean, the vocals just sound so rich, but I did have the backgrounds up pretty loud, as you could see. But they needed to be for the song. And could you imagine sitting in a control room, totally dark, with just the light shining down on the console, all by myself at 21 years old, listening to that through studio monitors. I couldn't crank them up to 11 because I didn't want any of it to leak out into the room, but they were up loud enough. Just amazing. And listen carefully. I think it's that last chorus. Did you guys hear the Neil trying to find his note off like 20 feet away in the room? Wow, Andre, you don't know any songs by these guys? Dude. We definitely have to get you into, when the show's over today, you've got to order Crosby, Stills, Nash, the first record with the three guys sitting on a couch, and then get Deja Vu with Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. Trust me. Okay, listen, this time, I believe it's the last chorus. If you listen really carefully, you'll be able to hear Neil like 20 feet away. That's all right that he grew up in classical and jazz. This is just csn&y. In America, anyway, they were probably second best to the Beatles. Yep, Darren says, I know we're supposed to aim for current modern sounds, but to my ears, that sounds so much better. It's not even my era. I agree. I totally agree. You know, if I ever go back to making records someday, this is the kind of stuff that I want to do. It's what I'm good at. It's what I enjoy working on. All right. Let me get back to the head. It's so weird. How do I get back to the top? There we go. All right, here we go. One more time. Do you want me to give it a tad more level? Or was that okay this last time? All right, I'm going to give it a pinch more level. All right, here we go. One last time.
This is me. Can you take another look? Did I see you looking blindly at your book? Is it all that you thought it took? Can it be taken at all?
That's Crosby on the left doing the
Were you
deep.
looking for signs along the way? Did you see by your lonely light of day? Is this road really the only way? Can this road be taken at all? We lost it on the highway, down the dotted line. You were going your way, I was going mine.
Stills. Crosby.
We lost it on the highway. Things were out of sight. You were going your way, trying to make a light along the way. Can you see by your lonely light of day? Is this road really the only way? Can this road be taken at all? Can this road be taken at all?
Yeah, Neil is actually in the last verse. Um, yeah, I was so heartbroken when that record didn't come out with all four of them, and this song got taken off Stills Young because they didn't write it. Um, I just thought this would have been like a major hit for them. And back then, you could put stuff like that on the radio. Um, Somebody was asking which mics. They were Neumann 87s all the way around on the acoustic guitars and 87s on the vocals as well. Well, thanks, but like I said, I set up the mics, I rode the levels, but I didn't EQ and I didn't set the compressors on this. And my recollection is that we had 1176 limiters on all four of the guitars. We might have had LA3As, I believe, on the vocals. And I remember, one thing I do remember is because Neil was kind of wandering in and out. For whatever reason, he just wasn't like that involved in the song, didn't seem that on board with it. And I remember bringing the input fader to his mics down on his guitar and his vocal mic. And then sometimes he would I was just so mesmerized, first of all. I was just like, holy crap, I can't believe I get to do this. And I can't believe how amazing the song is. And there were times where Neil would look up with his little Jack Nicholson look that he has and start walking back over. So if you listen super carefully at high levels, you can actually hear a little room ambience or a little something change. And that was me bringing up his vocal and guitar mic, thinking he was going to sit down and join in, and he didn't. And then I'd bring it back down when he turned the other way and started walking away. I mean, again, I was not trying to make a record. I was just I knew that this would never be a record. It was just part of a day's work with those guys is get the moment down. We'll go back to it and figure out what we're going to do with it later, which was very much the way it was when I worked with Neil Young. And that was just myself, my assistant, and Neil for the vast majority of the stuff that I did with him. Like I've mentioned on the show before, there were times my assistant, Paul, had to follow Neil around the studio. We had a room that was 25 wide, 43 deep, with 20-some foot high ceilings in Fort Lauderdale, a triad recording. And Paul would have to follow Neil around the room because Neil would strap on his Martin and just walk around the room noodling and just like ad-libbing lyrics. And he too would, like a month later say, hey, remember that Wednesday afternoon when it was raining and we had tacos and I was working on that song? And we'd have to go find it and play it for him again. I would love to play you the stuff from Comes a Time and Russ Never Sleeps and whatever else, a couple other albums, I think, stuff that I worked on made it to. But I have a feeling that would get the show blocked. But maybe I'll do it on a live show one day. Do I remember the 1176 setting? First of all, I didn't set the 1176s. Gaiman did. But I would say probably 3-to-1. All of us, I think, defaulted like 3-to-1, 4-to-1 ratio. I can't remember where the threshold was. And it probably had a fast attack and like a medium slow release, I would say. Certainly on the guitars. And I don't remember anything about the vocals. All I remember is when I brought my left hand off of my thigh up to the console, my hand was literally doing that. My palms were sweating, and I pinched myself with my other hand and said out loud in a hushed tone to myself, do you realize where you are and what you're doing? And And then, at the end of it, like 5 minutes after I told the guys, I did one of these, like, shh, I thought it was magical, and they thought it was magical. I could tell they thought it was magical just by the looks on their faces when they were doing it. And when Neil, funked his guitar for that beat, he normally would not, not Neil, Steven, he normally wouldn't look up like, oh crap, I blew it, right? But that was definitely that momentary eye contact I had with him. I think he was waiting for me to go, and I didn't. I just let it roll. Thank God I let it roll. Yeah, and so when I was back in Miami at the end of 2019, and Don Gaiman and I were hanging out, and I said, do you remember that night? And he goes, yeah, I remember it. And then I think I was asking Ronnie of Ronnie and Howie Albert, I think I said to them, you guys didn't do a version of Taking It All. And he goes, no, I don't think so. Anyway, so that's that. Thank you for listening. Glad that I could share it with you, and hopefully they'll only demonetize the episode and not bounce it off of YouTube or send me any nasty emails. So that's it. We got 9 minutes left. Now what should we talk about? Because after that, it's like my brain is just mush. Oh, man. We could listen to this. Andre's question, are you a believer of high-quality cables make a difference in record quality? Yeah, I used to use, I can't remember the brand, but they were oxygen-free cables, and they were gold-plated on both ends. Can you hear a difference? I don't know. But when you're working, with artists at this level, you eliminate every possible mistake or thing that could go wrong. So... yeah, I believe that having good cables is better than having bad cables. But you know what? I'll get to your question in a moment there, Andre. But it was, I think I was going to buy a new TV set. It was like Thanksgiving Day, right before football started, and we had family coming over, and our TV died. So I went to go buy a 55-inch Samsung flat screen, and the guy said, oh, you get a free DVD player, a Blu-ray player with the TV today. It's on sale. It's great. Throw it in there. And he said, you're going to need a cable, right? An HDMI. And I said, yeah, sure. Give me a 6-footer. And the cable was $38. And I said, put that crap back. I don't want a $38 cable. He said, but, it's oxygen free, and it's gold plated, and it's got this, and it's got that, and it's got the other thing. And I said, give me the $7 cable. And he said, why? I said, because it's not passing audio, it's just passing zeros and ones. I don't believe that a better cable passes zeros and ones. It ain't audio. So I got the $7 cable, and I've had it for like 10 years, and it's fine. Okay. All right, I'll take it. I don't have a bunch of effects loaded in. These are the ones that just came with it. I don't think, no disrespect, Ken, I don't think it's mixer. Most of the mixers and engineers I'm friends with, none of us would tell you that we make it great. We capture moments, and we have to capture them as well as we can. But it all starts with the music, man. If it ain't going in the microphone, yeah. Yeah, Mogami, those are the oxygen-free cables I was using. For people who usually fly to attend the rally or who are in different time zones, how can they manage attending the lives? Will there be replays? Okay, so what you need to know, first of all, is that we are going to start the rally at 9 a.m. in the morning. So even if you're on the East Coast, which I believe you're in Montreal, I want to say, you'll be able to get a lot of the stuff, not late at night. And yes, we will post The stuff after the rally's probably all done, we'll probably post it all up. I don't know. We're still working out all the details on that. Do I do one constant live stream from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And just keep flying in different segments? Today, I came to the realization that I'm probably not going to do that because if something happens, then it messes up the whole live stream for an 8-hour live stream. But to do like 8 different 1-hour segments, then we have to send you guys a different link for each one of those. So that's a problem I got to work out. Thank God I've got 80 some days to work out that problem. Okay. Okay, so for the last 4 minutes, sure, let's listen to what it's got. That will be the one that I have a feeling I'll be playing a lot. When I ask you guys a question and nothing comes up in the chat room because of the delay, that's what you'll be hearing. That's for when I brush my teeth and open my mouth and get that gleaming smile. That's for when I think I'm being funny. That's for when we have mystery guests. I think I actually like iCarly better. The claps are a little more distinct, and I like the hoots in there, Anyway, I'm out of lip sync. Yeah, iCarly's better. I'll sample iCarly and throw it in there, and let's see what else do we have. I played you that one. I've got one of those somewhere too, I think. Nope. Come on. Oh, man. And then there's this. And then there's this, which it's almost porn flick music. This is like when the guy's entering the room, like, yes, I'm here to fix your plumbing. So you guys can hear me, right? I can talk over the music like a real DJ. And I can fade. Yeah, baby. I've got a fader. Actually, I've got a bunch of faders. Okay. Really coming to you live from the mall. Oh, man. Do you know, I used to have a sister-in-law that wrote the Penthouse letters. Those were all made up, just so you know. Yep, my sister-in-law, when she was like 22 years old, got a job like in the mailroom or something, working at Penthouse, or maybe it's Playboy. I can't remember, one or the other, but she wrote a lot, if not most of those letters. Pretty funny. So what else? We got 1 minute left. Cue the music. I already did. Maybe I'll cue the music for the outro. I don't need to have the controls of my iPad. The thing is sitting right next to my laptop, and I've got it up on like a little laptop stand, so it's cool. It looks like a little TV station. I'm very excited. It's got 4 mic inputs. It's got a USB in. It's got a mini jack in for the cell phone. It's got Bluetooth for whatever I want to Bluetooth in. So yeah, like I could Bluetooth my phone or an iPad to this gizmo and run music. Andre, when do I ever move around? I have no idea what I'm going to do on Friday. So, yeah, if you guys could stop in, first of all, don't forget to give us a like. Absolutely. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you're not a subscriber to the channel and you want to know when all this groovy stuff is going to happen. Let's see. Oh, yeah, and please toss out some questions or ideas in the comments after the archive goes up, because I really have no plan for tomorrow's show. So there you go. We are done. It's 5 o'clock. Today's show is over, and I will see you tomorrow for another exciting episode of Taxi's Quarantini Happy Hour. I still know how to do a fade. I haven't lost my touch. All right, see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.